welcome to another episode of High and Empowered. Today, we're going to be talking about creativity and innovation. There's a lot of things that can really drive us to become more creative when we're in certain environments, around certain people, or even maybe just having the time to think for ourselves. And there's also some barriers that can prevent us from achieving that creative state. And sometimes we come across things like writer's block or just where we can't where we don't know where to start. So I'm just curious, Oren, what would you say drives you to be creative in situations?
It's so funny you're asking me that because as we speak, I'm packing a bowl. So I'm packing a quick bowl. And because we're talking about creativity and innovation, I my aids in creativity and innovation, my help, my get my juices flowing is coffee, gigantic cup of coffee. And this is an incredible blend, by the way. I just want to mention, wow, Sasquatch or Sasquatchian, I don't know. There's something going on over here in this coffee. It's beautiful, beautiful on multiple levels, and then cannabis. So coffee and cannabis help help kick in my creativity. So I think today's topic is incredibly important because you're right. What stifles it? What distracts from our creativity? What doesn't allow us to go that next level? To explore our creative juices because we're stifled. We're stifled in the box that life gives us, or the box that we create, the box that we live in. We drive in a box, we work in a box, we live in a box. So it's so difficult for the individual to be creatively seen. We have to try so hard. We have to scream so much louder so that you hear our creativity wanting to come out. I I mean, we were talking just before the show started, and there is so much that can hold you back. And today we're going to be talking about that workplace home life balance. That maybe we can get some of that creativity back. Maybe we can become more innovative by tapping into our imaginative side. So I bring it back to you. Imagination, how much does that play a role in our creativity? And when I talk creativity, I speak of, where we don't just use it for work, don't just use it for profit, use it for joy, use it for life.
Yeah. Imagination. I think that when we are able to be open to different perspectives and not just keep doing things the way that they've been, that's really where innovation comes in as well. Just being willing to look at things from a different perspective of how things have been done for so long and kind of moving past the traditional way of like say an invention, just how things have always been, just thinking maybe of a new twist or something completely different that you can add to expand and just make things better and more convenient for our lives. um, just being able to create and be inspired by everything around us. And
So what inspires
also
you?
another,
Well, what inspires you? So to get your creativity going, to get your innovative juices flowing, what inspires you? What really gets you going?
I mean, sometimes it's just existence itself and just having experiences. And that really can trigger our emotions and bring certain feelings to the surface. Like, for example, artists, when they go through maybe traumatic events or just something that really was emotional for them, that really comes into their art. So personally for me it just comes down to experiencing life and sometimes being in the present moment, like say being on vacation and seeing the water and seeing the trees and seeing everything around that, like that would maybe inspire me to do something like a painting of the scenery, and just embrace the moment and embrace kind of the feelings and put that onto paper, because there's the saying like the words, like a painting is worth a thousand words, or a picture is worth a thousand words. So it's we can really express a lot through art. And I do want to say that I also haven't been actually doing as much art as I would like to. So I feel like I am currently at an interesting point in my life where creativity is coming out in other aspects like projects and writing, but I haven't had as much time to sit down and really put my thoughts and emotions onto art, which is something that I would like to spend more time doing because as much as they can, creativity can't come out into projects. It's nice to do something that's just for yourself, personal, and it's not for
No,
an
it
end
is.
result as
And it
well.
is. And that's some of the things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what gets your creative juices flowing. And for you, it's the beauty of here and now. It's the beauty of reality. It's the beauty of, be able to breathe in life. And that gives you joy. And then the art is your meditative, translative expression of what you took in and the energy that you kind of soaked in. So yes, and that's some of the things we're going to talk about today. Different ways to be able to help get your creative juices back with, yes, coffee and cannabis, through meditation, through learning who you are and finding out who you are. That's a big deal because creativity. We talked authenticity last week. We talked authenticity and action. So being authentic and taking action in one's life means means a whirlwind of events, means changing and stopping everything and rewriting the book. So creativity is there coming out. Your imaginative side, and this is the one that do we rely, and I'm going to say it before I forgot it, but do we rely too much on media for our imagination? I remember I used to have read books, and I'd have to think about the characters and what they would look like, and I would feel more creative. I would feel more literal. I would, my speech was better. I had bigger words that I could use when I was reading, but I was more creative in my speech. I was more imaginative in the things that I was doing throughout the day. And, innovation comes right in and just kind of hits you in the head and says, ooh, this is new. This is different. This is out of the box. But that's some of the things, I'm looking at when we talk creativity. I think that's creativity. I think I mean, that's creativity. That's where it's brimming from. I mean, what is it? So to you, what exactly is creativity? I mean, what is it? What does it feel like? What is the vibe of it? What is the whole spiel?
I guess it's just I feel like creativity comes from more of a relaxed state. And then, like you said, being able to maybe think of new things, new ideas, new ways to approach situations, or new techniques of drawing, of painting, just new approaches and thinking kind of outside of the box is a common expression as well. Just relaxing into the moment and not attaching to specific outcomes, which allows you to be more creative and think of the potential of what something could be, and then you can apply yourself and see that unfold. Um, so that's I guess that's my perspective of it, and
So, I
being
mean, how important is it though?
willing. Sorry.
How important? I mean, so, and I say this, how important is creativity, individual creativity, and innovation? Now, I know it seems like a silly question, but how important is it?
I'd say that it is quite important because if we stagnate on something for too long, it becomes basic, and then things would be the same all the time. So creativity and innovation, without creativity and innovation in our lives, we wouldn't have much uniqueness, much difference between ourselves. And that's what makes life really interesting because if we just had the same plain Jane things that we wake up to and the same things that we repeat throughout our lives, it wouldn't be very interesting. And that's, I feel a lot of people, they do get stuck in their comfort zones a little bit. So that's another thing I was going to mention, just going out of your comfort zone and seeing what other potential can unfold versus just staying where you're comfortable and watching the same things repeat and then seeing the same outcomes. Because I think it's described, I forget where it comes from, but like insanity can be described as doing the same thing but expecting a different outcome. So that's something, just being willing to go beyond what you know and see what else is out there.
So, super important. See, and I love this. I was just reading this, and we open up ourselves. You're right. Creativity flows in such beautiful ways. Innovation just happens. We get so excited, and it's the enthusiasm for life that also helps create the creativity. It also helps create so much. But we've got to, we've got to open ourselves up to these things. We have to be more free. So you were talking about stifling creativity, stifling innovation. What are other things that you see stifling it? Because look, I see workplaces being able to benefit. Now, businesses, if you're listening and you're going to listen to this, you're stifling the creativity and the individual innovation of your employees. You're not promoting it. Don't be afraid. They're not there to take over. They're there to work for people who appreciate them. So, in that, let's be different. Let's act different. Let's do differently. And in the doing of differently, let's empower. Let's cultivate creativity. Why? Because it's only going to come to the benefit of your company. It's only going to come to the benefit of making things better for your work culture, your life culture, your product. And I speak of this not just for the cannabis industry, for any industry. Cannabis industry especially, you should be empowering your people, even down to the ones who pack boxes and stuff the vans for delivery. It's hard work and it's lonely work. It's unappreciative work. Stifled creativity in those areas can bring, when you take away those roadblocks and you create and empower people to be individual and creative and innovative in the workplace. Wow, the ideas that they bring to the table, the
Yeah.
free innovation that your employees bring to the table because they want to. Because I mean, am I
Yeah, I feel like creating an environment in any workplace scenario, just where people feel open to express themselves versus feeling like they're going to be yelled at for, saying something that they maybe should or shouldn't say. Like it
no, no,
should
that
just
was
be
it. That's it.
more trusting and more like open and I guess authentic, just allowing people to be who they are and express what they're feeling instead of putting on a mask to please a certain narrative that
No,
the
that's
company
it. Look,
wants
we've
to.
talked about that mask. We've talked about that temporal being you have to become at work. It's hard to be the authentic you that you want to be. And throughout the day, your creativity is stifled, it's stopped. You are just a drone within a workforce. And then you get home and you don't feel creative, do you? You don't feel the spice of life, the beauty that you were speaking of. Or you were in school all day and maybe all everything they teach you, they're trying to teach you to learn or see a certain way. And they're not letting you be individually creative. And it's the process of exploration. Oh, I love that. Experimentation, willingness to take risks. Absolutely. It's not just our fear. It's not just our fear that stifles. It's like, what is that? I got a bug that flew into my ear. It's not just our fear. It's our jobs. It's our traffic. It's our high rent, high bills, crazy politicians. It's the water we're drinking. But, do you feel that your the individual innovation and creativity is stifled? The individual.
um it can be, yeah, I guess, like with school and being in college there is like a routine, and then additionally there's also the deadlines, which I know can really affect some people differently. Like some people find it really difficult to keep up with deadlines and run on a schedule and do all of those things, but other people, it kind of motivates them, like they do better under pressure. And honestly, over the years I find that that's something that's kind of happened to me. Like I feel like the pressure can kind of push me to get something done. But at the same time, I feel like it would be a little bit healthier to have more time and freedom to do the work, which is something that's nice to have. Just
But with that
be able,
freedom,
like,
like on
yeah,
vacation, when you're on vacation, do you feel more creative?
I would say so, probably.
See, when you're traveling and you're seeing beautiful things, going to a museum, Like when I go to London, I always go to the Museum of London, and I like to walk very slow and just soak it all in because I'm on vacation. I haven't been to London in a long time. It's been a really long time, long time. But in that, you become artistic, you become creative, you become innovative, you flow with the art pieces, and you flow with the with with the different art installations and history. You soak in the history of things. You become it. You become open, and we were talking about that earlier. When you open yourself up to the universe, creativity flows back into you. So we're talking about stifling it and being the individual. So when on vacation, you feel better though, right? You feel more creative. You feel more of a flow,
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. And it's also because
more
there's
so
there's
than when
less
you're under
pressure.
pressure.
Yeah.
Like if you're
And
being
then you're
pressured to be creative, like you're in a deadline and you're individually on your own having to figure out some shit. You feel like creativity flows under pressure or in that open free environment.
probably a lot more in the open free environment, but also something that does kind of help sometimes is like the teamwork aspect of projects. It's interesting to see other perspectives and just have other people come
Reading
in
my
because
mind.
then it can just, add more different ways of thinking to the project and just kind of combine different thought processes to make something different that you wouldn't have
No,
thought
that's
of on
actually
your own.
exactly what I was thinking. Because individually, we can only go so far. Individually, we have to put ourselves into a mode that we have to think creatively. So in that, I freelance on the side, and I'm a out of the box thinker, and I create ideas. And in the creation of ideas, you can't think the norm. You have to reinvent the wheel. You have to, when I get into a think tank, individually, I can come up with some great stuff, but it takes a while. In a think tank, there is an explosion of ideas. And all of these ideas are probably not the best in the world. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are absolutely incredible. Some of them are earth shaking. But you got to pick those out of the mass onset of group ideas because that's it. In one of those environments, this is the this is like a waterfall of creativity, and
Yeah.
innovation and imagination. Have
And
you ever
I
been in
think,
one of these? Yeah.
sorry, I was just going to say, I think throwing everything out there, like you were saying, like some ideas might not end up working, but like just being willing to put everything out on the table, everything that you're thinking, instead of labeling ideas as good or bad, just at least having everything there to look at and then evaluate based on what your goals and objectives are, like what is the best path to go down. And it helps to have everything there, every other perspectives as well.
No, no, and you're absolutely right. And I was just laughing to myself, like, that's the dualistic nature of what you're able to do in a group. Individually, you are the yin or the yang. You are one side of the coin. You're not both. Only because you can't think both. The struggles in life may be weighing down on you. Bills may be weighing down on you. Traffic might be weighing down on you. Bosses might be weighing down on you. And that stifles the individual, so that you can only think from one side of the coin. But when you are in a brainstorm session, whatever they call them, scrums, they call them scrum sessions or brainstorm, or there's so many different names for these little groups that get together. But wow, some of the ideas are just so far fetched, but on a long run, on a long play, like if a company's coming in and saying, look, I'm not just looking to do a little bit of advertising, I'm looking to do a little bit of advertising right now, get their attention. I'm looking to do a little bit of advertising later on, and maybe a little bit of advertising way down here in the future. But all those little bits, I've saved a lot of money. I've put my name in their head, and I've created a brand, I've created a want, and I've created a need. Brainstorming creates what that flow is going to do. Creativity is how you're going to take that and make that sellable to the people, wantable, part of their lives, enough that they're going to go shopping. And remember this, Be like, oh yeah. Let me get a bottle of that, or let me get a carton of this, or let me get a package of this. So, so to me, and it even goes back to don't stifle your best salespeople. These are the people who work for you. If you have employees, a lot of them, start thinking about them, all of them, because they can do. You don't make them do anything. They'll do it out of the love of the company. Because I'm not saying go do this and take advantage. I'm saying go do this on the good side of the coin. And wow, watch a giant company as a whole be a brainstorming session 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The ideas that will come in. Yes, it might cost a little bit in the sense that, donuts in the morning, tacos on Tuesday, I don't know. There's so many chit chats, maybe morning calisthenics. And that's it. That brought me into my next thing, which I can go on forever. Exercise. Exercise and creativity. So what are you thinking there? And there's a reason I ask.
With exercise, like if you mean physical exercise, I feel like it could be like, you get some endorphins flowing and you're able to just be more active, and in being active, it also kind of clears away some of the thoughts. Like maybe you were just going to sit around the house and, think a bunch of different thoughts about what you need to do. But then if you're actively doing something, you can just be a bit more in the moment. And I just see that you put that quote on from Ray here. Creativity is inventing, experimenting, growing, taking risks, breaking rules, making mistakes, and having fun. That's a great quote. It says by Mary Lou Cook. But yeah, that going back to what you were saying, Oren, being active, it does help you just to let some of the things drift out of your mind that weren't being helpful. Um, and I know that Andrew has done quite a few gummy runs, so that's something that he's probably experimented with and found has helped him maybe come up with some interesting like content ideas, or just
I'm sure it
interesting
has. Look,
thoughts in
he's put
general.
himself out in the street. You see
Yeah.
him, he's out there in the street doing, he's like, something from now on, all of my podcasts are going to be done right here at the street. But that's great though. That helps create different. And what is that? That's creativity. That's innovation. He's being innovative. He's coming out to the people. He's out there where it's nitty, it's gritty. There's ideas and energy flowing. That's awesome. That's wild. That's everything. I love that. So to me, that's a big deal. To me, that's super fantastic. But yes, he's probably gotten some amazing ideas on these gummy runs. But you mentioned it in the moment. So being in the moment and authentic, what does that mean for our creativity? What does that mean for, you know, you know, because we can set ourselves back.
Yeah.
And I say that, we have to be look, we have to be confident in who we are as individuals in order to want more. Not want more. It's not a good word. It's and not achieve more. It's become more. To become more. It's we are more already. We just have to realize it. And so it's not becoming it, it's realization. It's not positivity. It's in excitement. It's you know, it's excitement. It's wow. It's it changes everything. So in a group, and I talk, and that's why I still talk about group wise. So I said exercise, right? I said, how does that maybe change? Look, it gets the blood flowing. Exercise opens up the blood vessels. It's a vasodilator. It gets the juices flowing, and with that flowing of juice, it pushes blood into parts of the brain maybe and expands them a bit that help our, the hippo something that helps our
Hippocampus.
creativity. But we have to be in that environment individually. But in a group, does it get activated because of excitement, endorphins? So do endorphins play a role in this, do you think? Like, obviously they do, but in a group setting, the sharing of ideas become so much more if we're open and not hiding ideas. And that's another big, because a lot of times we get into playing chess, especially in business, or when in business groups, meetings, we don't put everything out on the table. We hide so many ideas, especially in these brainstorming or scrum sessions. We don't say everything because they're going to take all of our ideas. Now we know everything, and we don't need you anymore. I've been in situations like that where they've taken every idea and they're like, okay, thank you so much. And we're going to, and they have implemented them even well past my expiry date with the company. But that just confirmed to me how great those ideas were. But in a group, they weren't mine solo. I thought of those with the energy and endorphin boost of the group. So that creates so much. So exercise, I think, is much of the same. I think exercise really comes in and, you know, it pushes us maybe. I mean, we exercise in the morning. There's people that are on certain regimens, right? I mean, do you exercise? I mean, I'm not like, hey, do you exercise? Because I do lazily. I'll be authentic. I'll tell you. I'll tell you, then you can answer it in any way you like. But my exercise, I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror. Yeah, not terrible. I mean, okay, you know, I do like 20 push-ups. I feel good. All right, I've done a lot. All right, I stretch a little bit now, which stretching is good the older you get because you get old. You got to stretch because everything hurts. So stretching helps unhurt it a little bit. And then, of course, the morning routine. So anyway, so that's my exercise. And then coffee and cannabis
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, mentally I have to exercise as well and get that creative juice going. And I don't need it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the less bricks on my shoulder, more creative, easy thought. Because I'm still in industries where I have to be very innovative, very creative constantly. I have to think outside of that box of what do people want to purchase and how do they want to purchase it? Because, and just to quickly mention it, creativity has had to change drastically since COVID. Why? Because since COVID, now as a consumer, we want something else in a product. We don't just want, we don't just get a product now. We don't just pick a product. We have to pick a product with story. We have to pick a product with some love behind it, some want behind it, some need behind it. Because COVID made us want more from because we were stuck inside for so long. We checked out our products more. We looked at what we're buying. We became more cost wise because of the cost restrictions of either working from home or people being out of work. We had to get creative with our money, creative with our food, create. So product
That
change and the want of buying something has changed. I know for me in the cannabis industry, when I'm going to purchase a product, I don't know, it means a little bit to me. I mean, price means a lot, but if that company also gives a shit and also loves their employees and it goes into the weed and I feel it and I know it. And so I'd rather buy from them and spend $5, $10 more sometimes because of the love that I know about. But if I don't know about the love, then it's just a crapshoot. It's price. So that's where you got to get creative and create that story. So, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Just to add to that, like oftentimes the value and the meaning behind a product can drive consumers towards it. And other times products kind of make it seem like there's value that they're going to give us that we don't already have, though, which is something that's a little bit dangerous because it kind of feeds the self-doubt and like the sense of lack. As I briefly touched on, I think during the authenticity episode, the idea of makeup and just a lot of makeup companies, they make you feel like you're not already beautiful and you need the product to be beautiful. So that sort of thing, like just there is products that do provide genuine value or are like for a good cause. Like there's non-profit companies or there's for-profit companies that just do helpful things, or like for every item purchased, maybe they remove some garbage from the ocean, something like that. There's it's nice to know that there's just like ethical considerations behind the products and the things that we purchase. Definitely a good thing to know versus just another big company that's making profit off of trying to sell you something that you don't need. And that kind of goes back to minimalism. And it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people, you might think of minimalism as something that's not super creative, but then there are other people who say who trap like get rid of all of their stuff and then travel around in a van. Isn't that very that inspires creativity and being able to travel the world and see all that's out there, but not having many things that belong to yourself that you hold on to.
And no, and that's huge what you just said there, because sometimes you need that to find who you are or what you are or why you are. Look, I did it. When you said that, I'm like, I did that. And there's another guy, which if you ever go check out YouTubies or wherever, but on YouTube, the guy is Reggie from the Road. Reggie from the Road. And wow, he's fantastic. He did a video about me on the road. He was doing the cinematography with drones and interviewing, and just he put together an incredible short film or thing with me and my family on the road in our 45-foot fifth wheel. I sold my house in Texas. I quit everything, my job. I sold my house. I sold everything we owned, and only, it was like sink or swim. Like, could we take it on the RV? Is it going to be too heavy? And yes, that right there did change my creativity, because before that point, I felt like I was in a rut. I wasn't creative. I wasn't creating. I wasn't being. I wasn't becoming. And my whole life was in a box. I had it. I mean, look, I had a nice house. I initially was working for my father. I was a freight forwarder, export, import, export, freight forwarding, negotiating deals with shipping lines and customers, and just, I mean, a lot of paperwork though. And I was looking for a little more excitement in my life, not just sitting behind a desk looking at 4 clocks. God bless my father; he's amazing, and he did it, and he created a business. But in that area, I, as an individual, was stifled. Now, if he would have looked outside of the box and made me a salesman, I could have brought in new business. Now, creating excitement, creativity, and innovation on the road. But not until he was about to retire did he want to do something like that. And then I also went through a crazy part of my life where my mom passed, and everything changed. Not just creativity, everything stopped for me. There was no thinking, there was just staring and wishing I had a thought, wishing I had some imaginative boost. And then I think it was my wife that might have originally mentioned it, about getting on the road and getting an RV. And so we did. I got a huge one and painted it. I did tech work at the time, and networks and infrastructure and program writing, and just a myriad of things. And so I made the RV look like a motherboard, and it was awesome. Actually, Angie, my wife, she had done most of the work. We had painters come out and do work, and I don't know what they were on. And I came home and cried because I had this big, giant, gorgeous RV I just purchased, and it looked like it did look bad. I mean, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. It's terrible. So I went and sold. And I don't know if I was at work. I can't remember what happened. But while I was gone, I came back and most of it was already redone. And she made it look like a big motherboard on the sides. I'm like, that's it. I love it. That's what we're going with. So that trip created, I took my kids, took our dogs, and we traveled the country. And we stopped in each city, in each town, in each province, in each place that we wanted to visit that we saw on the History Channel, or any place that said, "Oh my God, you got to go there." We went there, and we stayed like 21 days because we were traveling through like a campground system, taking advantage of their good deal. And so, but in that, we were able to go to Gettysburg. We were able to go to Snake Mountains. We were able to go to the first Viking settlement. Oh my God. We were able to go and explore and become part of life. And we brought the kids into that. Instead of just reading about it in a book, we're going there. We're going to experience it, and we're going to become it. That did a lot for creativity, to help redirect one's life to be innovative again. And after that trip, and you go through a whole change of life. Even now, I'm on a journey to expand my creativity. But definitely check out Reggie from the Road if you get a chance. Reggie on the road or from the road. It's either Reggie on the road or Reggie from the road. I'm telling you, you're gonna love this guy. Absolutely hysterical, incredible filmmaker. Had done some incredible interviews, and that's where I find being innovative. The guy's on the road. He's on a break from work, and he's interviewing people camping, the lifestyle that you're talking about, where they sold everything, bought a camper, and hit the road. And your backyard is anywhere you choose. It's
Yeah.
wild, wild. Have you ever thought of doing this?
I have definitely thought of it. Since I am quite young still, I'm 20, so I haven't gotten to that point. I'm actually even a
That's
little bit behind where I don't even have a license, but we don't need to talk about that yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on it in this, or I have a license. I don't have a car, is what I mean. I just don't know how to drive yet. But anyway,
and
going
where are you
back,
located? Where's your province or
I'm in Kingston, Ontario.
Kingston,
So in
Ontario?
Canada, yeah.
So if anybody's watching this show and you're close to Kingston, Ontario, and you know of any good car deals, like amazing car deals, like almost
But
like I don't know, I'm just gonna throw it out there in the universe. You never know what comes back,
yeah,
and
yeah, I guess so. But I did,
send
sorry,
Julia a
I
message.
did
No,
want to
send her
bring
a message.
the conversation back to just how you started with traveling that way, like, selling all of your stuff and going out and making everywhere your backyard. That's it. And you said that it was after, um, devastating event. So sometimes things like that can lead us to major changes in our lives. But at the same time, it doesn't always take something major
No, you're
to
right.
make a change, which is something that it would be helpful for a lot more people to understand, because sometimes they feel like something needs to go wrong to change something, but sometimes if it's not satisfying you in the way that you think it could, you can always make changes.
No, you're right. It doesn't have to go wrong. Something doesn't have to go wrong, but in so many cases, and this is when we were talking about what stifles your creativity, what stifles your innovation. Depression, maybe work, maybe a
Self-doubt.
combination of both, right? And so you don't want more. So I don't know. I think go ahead. I'm sorry. You were
No, that's okay. But yeah, self-doubt I think is a big one, for sure. Just because like people often what they create, they look at it and they don't see it as good as they see the creations of other people, which
so
is a
wait,
big one.
is that more what's holding us back? Is that failure of fear? Maybe more self-doubt, maybe our perfectionism as individuals.
Yeah.
Is that I mean, would that be exactly what you're saying? I mean, are we too vain? I mean, so okay. So this goes back to my other question, or earlier, my other thought. Are we relying too much on social media now? Is Tiki Taki taking away our? I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to be putting down Tiki Taki or the talk of tick, but is it taking away our creative flow? Do we get locked into the zombie mode of just looking for what? What are we looking for? We should be creating, not just looking for what inspiration. Because the shit I see on Taki Tick, 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 Tock, Tock, I do not want to recreate. And I wonder why the hell I'm watching it. I wonder why am I not reading a book? Because I don't have any time. I'm sorry, go ahead. But so are we
Yeah.
relying too much? Is media drowning us out? Are we drowning out with the flipping of quick scroll, 10, 5 second?
Yeah, I mean, it could be perceived as that way, especially I guess if you're doing more consuming than creating, like you were saying, just depending on the types of content and the intention behind it, because oftentimes we just kind of use that to fill our time. But if you're doing it, and you're just, you get
Should we
some
just be
enjoyment out
filling
of it, but
time?
you don't let it go for the whole day, or so even if you do, sometimes that happens, but it just creating can be. bit more beneficial. But making excuses is there on the screen. It can be distracting, but it could also be inspiring. So there are different sides of it. As Andrew says here, it can be used to distract or it can be used to inspire. And I mean, like, without the consumers, there would be nobody who sees your content. But I mean, like, because you're putting something out there and maybe it'll reach someone at the right time, just like how you see things that happen to reach you at the right time. And it can inspire us to create something for ourselves. But I guess sometimes, like, without taking actions, and just there's a bit of an information overload sometimes with social media. um it can be a lot of things and it can just be overwhelming. But Amanda has another comment here. The biggest barrier to our creativity is ourselves, our fear of failure, judgment, limitations. We decide we can't overcome. So that is definitely a big one. Like I was saying, the self doubt and just thinking that other people's opinions hold significance,
Matter.
especially
Just
over
thinking that your
ourselves.
opinions matter because they don't. I mean, your life matters. You matter. So that's what we're forgetting sometimes. It's our authentic self. Look, since that conversation, I have been swearing in every conversation with anybody I have to be the more authentic me. Look, I'm excitable and I'm not going to excuse it. I'm not going to hold it back because there's creativity that I am stifling and holding back in that restriction of myself. Because over here, you're right. The biggest barrier is creativity, is ourselves. We fear what other people are thinking of us, but we forget that they're thinking too much about themselves. They're
Yeah.
not thinking of us. You are always thinking and doubting yourself. You're really not doubting others, you're doubting you. But you think other people are different? No. They're absolutely the same person you are in different ways, in different flows. But they're not thinking about you at all. Think about the amount of times you think about somebody, like, I mean, just take this into account when you're into your own head and you feel as though the world is thinking about you and you feel as though they're talking about you and they're wishing bad upon you or putting evil eye upon you. Think back for a moment and think about how many people you were just thinking about. Who specifically? Nobody. Nobody at all. I'm just thinking about myself. That's exactly it. You are creating and manifesting the now. You are creating and manifesting the yes, the everything. And in that, we let go of fear. We let go of self doubt because now I'm not judging myself anymore. I don't judge myself, so I don't judge what's going to come out because it's only going to be good. It's only going to be of heart. It may not be the right thing to say all the time, but you know something? It's going to be the real thing that I'm saying. I'm not I'm not thinking necessarily. I mean, I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking about me when I'm just me. So I fear me not at all. So that should help change the creative nature of what comes out of us.
Yeah, the
Sometimes you have to use fear. I was just looking at the comment. Sometimes you have to, all right, but
no,
I'm
no,
not
you can
fearing
keep
me.
going.
I'm not going to fear me. And in that, my creative juice flows better when I am confident of myself. And if I'm down in the dumps or in the rut, I have to think of innovative ways to lift myself back up. I have to get creative in my reimagination of me so that I can fight depression, so that I can still create and be imaginative and be responsible. There's so much that you put on the table there. So, yes, a lot holding us back. Fear is a big one, though. Fear is a
Yeah,
big one.
yeah. And just having the courage to do things and just accept the fear for what it is and know that it's still possible. Even if you're scared to do something, it doesn't mean that it's not possible for you. And then going back to what we were talking about a little while ago was just the idea of ourselves and that concept that we create. I feel like when you're in a creative state, it's really that you're in what you're doing, and you're not focused on the judgments of yourself, even if they're judgments from other people. It comes from a place of insecurity oftentimes. So it's really only it's mainly you judging yourself at the end of the day is what it comes down to. But yeah, just trying to get past the limitations or the bar that we set for ourselves. We think we have to perform to a certain level, but
Why do
we
we do
don't
that?
just let things unfold without
Why?
knowing where they're
Why?
going.
Why do we set this bar? I'm at, but why? Why are we setting a bar? Why are we creating a level for us to rise to? This is where creativity has to change. Don't think in this box of setting a bar. Instead, there is no bar. There is no limit to the capabilities of your imagination. And through imagination, there's creativity and innovation. We've lost our imagination and we leave it to the hands of those on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or wherever with our quick scrolling and just learning about one's life from a picture. We're making a decision about this just from seconds of view. So I don't know. I think we've lost. We've got to roll in fields again and run on the beach. We have to go picking seashells. We've got to throw bread at the seagulls. I don't know. I mean, I've got like a beach theme in my head, but in that I can actually hear seagulls, or maybe it was a bird. I don't know. It could be one or the other. There's a bird here I can't explain. Look, I don't even know. That's gonna be like a whole different episode just about this crazy bird flying around here. But imagination creates the world. With imagination, electricity happened. Imagination and the first horse became a car. The horse did not become a car, but the thought, the imaginative process. Harley Davidson was an airplane I saw the other day. They had an airplane, a small airplane that they built. I mean, oh my God, think of the creative flow early in the 1940s, 50s. Wow. Just creativity, imagination is what boosts us all. So, how do you get your imaginative flow to empower within you?
I
It's
feel
a question I ask in a specific way. How do you get it to flow? How do you get it to look? How do you because others don't pump us up enough. We have to do it to get past the fear, past the doubt, just for creativity, just for your imagination. You know,
Yeah, I feel like it comes down to questioning and thinking just questioning really everything, and it leads us to different possibilities.
questioning
As
everything.
Andrew says here, like that we can get caught up in our assumptions of ourselves and trying to be something, trying to get to an end result. So just sometimes doing things for the sake of doing them is really helpful because you're not trying to reach something and you don't feel as much pressure. And just trying to do new things and inspire ourselves by going outside of our own knowledge, but also sometimes we can look into ourselves and our own knowledge and just question what we know, and we can still create from what we have inside of us instead of turning to external sources all the time, because that's another thing. We often do look to external sources for motivation, but we can, in that same way, just by changing our perspective and our outlook, we can create that motivation for ourselves. Or sometimes motivation doesn't even come until you start the thing. If you keep pushing it off, and then the
Is it
motivation
because
comes
we're
once you
setting
start.
limits on ourselves? Is it because we set limits? Look, we do it in our career path. People want to get, certain people in a career path say want to become a CEO of a company, of a large company, of a, Fortune 500 company. So this individual, say, climbs the ladders and 20 years later, or 15 or 10, depending on how fast track he can go, becomes a CEO. Let's say 10-year increments. 10 years, he becomes a CEO. And okay, he's there. But his limit was to become a CEO. Now what? So at that point, his whole life changes because he now he must want something again. He must need something. You know, we all need something to believe in. I heard this once, I don't know where, but somebody once said, we all need something to believe in. You know, the same person also told me we're not religious, we're spiritual. And that's another big one as well when it comes to creativity, because, you know, even if we're, what is it, where you don't believe in anything? I forgot, what is that?
I just wanted to add to that. I think that sometimes labels can limit things. Like to define is to limit. Like you can say, I don't know, you could call yourself spiritual, but again, like you were saying, this CEO is limiting himself. Like even a label can just be limiting in itself. So sometimes it's just allowing all of the potential to be there and not settling and stagnating on one specific way of looking at things or one specific way of defining a word. I don't know if I would really agree that like everybody does need to believe in something, just
No, no,
because that can be kind
not
of
like that.
stagnant.
Actually, it's funny he just said this. He goes, no belief required, none whatsoever. When I say spiritual, I'm as an energy. I'm a spirit. I believe in people. So in that, you don't have to believe in anything. That's not required for creativity. Actually, when you let go of the thoughts of religion, or just let go of the thought of any of all that, you know, who look, you grow up and you believe in what your parents believe in more or less until you relearn who you are entirely. And when it comes to something like this, I believe in every religion. I believe in every soul and every love and every heart. I believe in you as my anything and everything. I believe in me. It's all of our energies together as one. And that's what we really are. And the more we understand that, the more we see that, our creativity flows. And that's what I was going to say earlier. I'm so glad we said this. Our creativity flows in a way it's everybody's. Look, Tesla did it. I mean, you know, there's that's why when you see an idea, and sometimes, and I think we were talking about this on the pre-show, but ideas happen in twos. You know, they don't just happen once; they happen twice. Good, but make like a great movie or a decent movie idea will hit the movies, and then like a week later, another one will come out that was already filmed, and same idea, just a little different, but same. Same with innovation. Same with innovative process. You'll see two of the same product kind of come out. Like when Tesla came out his, and then there's another one that came out Lucid, which is really pretty. I do want to say, and they can go further. And I don't hear about shit happening with them. I mean, great marketing, great story, great creativity that's coming this way. But it's creativity that you see in twos. So when we're all connected, I'm just gonna say, and we are, but when you realize it and you see it and you feel it, you can tap into that as a group that's connected. Oh my God. Or oh my me. Oh my. Holy shit. It's amazing what we can do. It's amazing what we can achieve ideal wise, save the world wise. I would love to get the UN on a weekend mushroom trip. Let's talk about some shit. But and talk but you know, that's neither here nor there. I was just throwing that one out there. So when you drop that thought of you and religion and work and traffic and life and meditate and become just you, you are the light. You are the power. I'm gonna fucking cry. Let's stop this. I'm too emotional when I talk like this. It's the truth, but
But
we don't see it, and we're afraid. We're afraid because we look externally, and that's why I got so mad earlier. I'm like, in my head, I'm mad. I'm not mad outside, but creativity is stifled because we no longer share collectively. We no longer because we are too constrained. You know, everything really hurts us and gets us down. the news. I try not to watch the news. Lately I have, and it's rough. It's rough. It's a story, right? I mean, it changes how you feel inside. And I think it stifles the new progress of things. But we need to unleash. And so I'm going to leave it at that. I think when it comes to that, when we realize we are the power, we are the creator, we are the everything, life changes, our path changes, our decisions change. And it's not just about us, it's about the collective in such a way. So that's how I feel. That's where my life has been taking a change. But there's still wants, there's still needs, there's still the pressure of life stopping that new creative flow. So I can only think from one side of the coin until those pressures. So that's what I'm saying. It's a collective effort, a collective thing.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree. Like it's collective, but a lot of the pressure sometimes that we think is out there from society can sometimes be an excuse, like it was mentioned earlier. Like we can think that other people may react a certain way to what we put out there, but it's really the pressure that we're putting on ourselves. So just like we were saying, not setting that bar so high for yourself, not thinking there's a right way to do things can be really helpful, just to allow everything to come to the surface, and then maybe you can evaluate and shift your focus to what is more helpful in the moment. But yeah, working together and just understanding that we are all really one awareness, connected. We all start from the same place, and then life just adds layers to us as we go through the years. But we, we really start from the same place. We're made of the same, you know, all made of the same energy in a way, but just
Well, well,
experienced
we're
differently.
made of the same flesh. I mean, we're made of the same matter. We're made of the same atoms that are popping in and out of existence. That's what we're made of. We're made of the history and the layers. Yes, yes, the intricate designs that are just mind boggling by any thought, and how everything works. And that inspires me. That invigorates me. I look at the unit, like out here I live on 7 acres. So at night, I don't see the city lights. I see the night sky. And that has changed my creativity. That has changed my love for poetry. Again, under the night sky, I mean, it's changed my love for life. I mean, not everything about being on a farm is great. I mean, but there's a lot of responsibilities to it. But at the same time, life changes for you mentally, physically. You become more active. So exercise, and in combination, your life changes. You want to raise chickens all of a sudden, or have goats. Don't do that. Don't do it to yourself. Don't get goats. I'm just saying. Don't get goats. Don't get an emu. I got a buddy of mine who got an emu. He's got two emus, and let me tell you something. He's like, I can't even go in there. I mean, those are big birds. So don't get goats. Don't get emus. Don't get pigs. Let somebody else do that part. I mean, if you're gonna farm something, all right, like do blueberries or grapes or wine or olives. You know, I I don't know. Creativity comes from life, comes from how we take it in. And look, I was reading some comments about darkness is bad and this and that. Sometimes we have to go in to ourselves to see who we are. I feel meditation helps. Meditation to block out everything around us and just not to think about anything, nothing at all. Reset your brain. Do you meditate? Do you do?
I have before, and I feel like you mentioned it blocking out your surroundings, but at the same time, I think of it more as becoming hyper aware of what you're experiencing. Like I when I had tried meditation, I really like the ones that allow you to focus on each part of your body and like feel everything really. It just helped me feel a bit more grounded in the experience, but it connected to everything at the same time. And as much as meditation can be helpful, especially if you're someone who's a chronic overthinker, it you can still implement awareness and just presence throughout your life, and just trying not to think about the idea of yourself and how you relate to everything else in the world, and all like who's going to think this, what's that going to mean about you, because in reality a lot of the things that we do, it doesn't really mean anything about us. Sure, we're the one completing the action. I mean, like, we're having the experience, but we learn from mistakes, which is another huge thing. Just being able to look at mistakes in a different light, because mistakes are not are not the end of the world. They contribute to learning. And actually, this makes me think of something I think I brought up on a previous dualistic unity call, which was there was an invention. Um, they were trying to make the most powerful adhesive, and they actually messed up, and they made a very weak adhesive, and that's how sticky notes became a thing. Sticky notes were invented because they did the exact opposite of what they were trying to do. And I learned that in a course called entrepreneurial thinking in a global context. And then I went to Ireland and I saw all these new perspectives and just a whole new side of the world and a new approach to things. They're very, very thankful from my experience there. The saying thanks a million is very popular. And that was something that was nice, just to feel people's gratitude, and feel that their focus is just on being there with you. They're not like, I didn't feel as much of a judgment, but at the same time, who's to say that the judgments I feel in everyday life, and where I am currently in Ontario, are any different than in Ireland? I don't know. Maybe just the different environment made me think of it differently. But it's also weird how we impact the environment as much as the environment affects us. So that's a whole other topic about like free will and how our environment affects us, but we also impact it, and the whole ripple effect, and we make a lot more of a
100%.
difference than we
Look,
think.
last week we were talking about this authenticity and action, taking action for the person that you are. For, and just to throw it out there, look, I saw it the other day, or something about it. I don't know. It was weird. As an authentic person, I mean, I'm always chasing the next paycheck. I live paycheck to paycheck. I have a big family, and we're always trying to budget everything we have. But we're eco. We recycle. We talk about saving the planet and saving the earth. We talk about creating new energy sources and new building materials. We speak a great game, but there's many people out there that speak a great game, better game than I would ever speak. And they want to save the bees. I want to save the bees. I mean, throw me in there for that as well. I want the bees as well saved, all of them. Every bees, trees, seas, okay, saved. No, I mean they're not, but I want them saved. That being said, there's people that can afford to go solar, to have wind power on their land, to have whatever eco way of doing something, but it may cost them money on the front end. A lot of people can afford it, but don't. So, how authentic are they without that action that they take? Because you were just talking about, uh, so I mean, so that being said, I mean, how authentic are they in creating and innovating the kind of culture that we want to ripple effect worldwide? Because in that, what we do ripples everywhere. What we say, it's look, it's taken in emotionally, and emotions travel. Emotions have no barrier, and they travel, and people feel it. The vibe you put off, people react to that vibe. Look, if I'm super happy and I'm walking through uh, Wally World, and I'm in the aisles, and people are just you look at their face. I mean, this is my way of explaining this. I'm just pushing the car, and I'm just happy-go-lucky, kind of walking and dancing around, and I'm hey, how are you? And how are you? And I do that a lot. I talk to people. I talk to myself. You know, and people think I'm talking to them, which also helps. Uh, but then, like that lady or that guy or whoever they are, that was the frown is turned upside down a little bit. Maybe, oh, okay, thank you, hi. Hi. It changes a small ripple right there. And then everybody in that store I kind of affect. I'm loud, I'm enthusiastic about my purchases, I'm excited to buy things. I'm excited to spend money. I don't know what the hell my problem is. So, but in that, my creativity flows differently because I'm not letting the woes of, I mean, there's a lot of woes in life. And we by thinking about them, it stifles our creativity. By becoming them, it stifles who we can be. We can become innovative, imaginative, creative, as long as we open ourselves up to that. We can't just close ourselves to one type of thinking. We have to be all types of thinking in order for the world to prosper, to understand how people live in their shoes. I think it was like, well, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. Walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. Put yourself there mentally. Life for you might be much easier than you think. And even if it's even if it's terribly difficult, understand that it could even be worse. And I hate saying that. I hate saying that. But that's my enthusiastic side to life because there's still butterflies. There's still a field that I can maybe run through that's not being pressed or stopped by the government. But get out of offices. Get out of the box that you put yourself into and walk outside. Get ice cream. You know, do shit you haven't done in, do shit that you haven't done in forever. Be something that you haven't been in forever. Be the kid, be the adolescent. I think we were talking about this last week, or grab from the adolescence of us, not all of it, but grab from that innocence, that want of life, that need of life, that need of adventure, that want of both sides of the coin, the dualistic nature of who we are. Which, by the way, you have to check out Dualistic Unity and all their podcasts. They got really some great content and they touch on so many different things. Find out who you are.
I do want to mention as well that I think Dualistic Unity was just live recently, live recently. But they were live recently and they had a roundtable episode. They talked about art and creativity a little bit on there. They talked about just sitting down and doing art and sometimes how that can feel, like something that you're not supposed to be doing. But at the same time, you should allow yourself to just rest a little bit, relax, be creative, and just dive into that sort of state. And it's not always about an end result. It definitely shouldn't be. And then just taking each step to the finish line, as well as a quote from Amanda before from that episode, just understanding that things take time, the process. And often nowadays we want things to be there immediately. We want to immediately see the payoff. But, in creating a painting, for example, it takes every single paintbrush stroke. As the comment says here, we have the potential to create in any direction and just see what happens. That's another thing. We have the potential to be anything, that we can be good, bad, and those are all just subjective, and it's just putting yourself out there and putting your focus where you want to put the focus. But that was the roundtable. The recent roundtable was a great episode. I don't know the number to be exact, but the most recent one, I'm not sure if it's uploaded yet, but it will be out soon, I believe. Um, and Dualistic Unity also has a newsletter, so you can find out about everything that they're doing when the episodes are coming out, and just stay up to date with all of their events and everything sent directly to your inbox. So that would be a great way to find out more about Dualistic Unity's episodes and everything that they're offering, everything that they're talking about. It's really great to be involved with, and it's a great way to expand your perspective as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, it's about finding the inner power. Today, it's all about creativity. It's all about innovation, but it's a talk about it. It's a talk around it. It's a talk of what it even is anymore. Look, we work and it stifles, and then we don't have it later on in the day, and then we don't have it in the week. We have to concentrate our thought on our imagination, on, and when I say that, don't make yourself imagine, but put yourself in environments where your mind can be free for a little while. Put yourself in an environment where, a round table, A round table. That's the round table. Anyways, I don't know. I just saw round table.
No,
Um,
so the round table is was the episode that I referred to. It is where a couple different people came on the show from Dualistic Unity. I think it was Amanda, Jas was there, Ray, and Andrew. The four of them were on. That was episode 31 of the Roundtable series, which will be posted soon if it's not yet. Also, the Dualistic Unity Troubleshooter is a great tool as well. Additionally, that can really help us, maybe even help us brainstorm our creativity. But it's mainly about just helping you through various aspects of life, whether it be troubles, just wanting to generate ideas. It is with the paid version of ChatGPT, ChatGPT 4, I believe. So you can check that out, and that can help you with a bunch of different aspects of life.
Look, I think when your mind is free of trouble, and I know you can never get completely free of it, but when you can lessen that load, and that's why I love my coffee and cannabis, just throwing it out there, it's a good tool to help me because my life, like your life, is rough. It's hard. And there's rough, hard moments, but there's also beautiful moments. You have to see those moments and remember those moments. Happiness is not constantly, happiness is not every day. It's hard to be happy every day. I'm honest and I'm not happy every day, but I'm not unhappy. And I remind myself that life is still good where I have it and where I can help. Empower yourself. You don't need me. You don't need Julia. You don't need us. Just say, I mean, you don't. You need you. You need you. And that's where I want to kind of bring it to a, you know, until next time type of thing, because I think we need our imagination back. We need our little kid back. We need to think about dinosaurs and choo choo trains and just things that make you smile. Puppies, kittens. I want all of it again. And in that, I want to think again. I want to think new. I want new creativity, new innovation. I want to rethink the wheel. Look, it's all about the need and the want. What do people need? What do they want? Start there. If you're looking for a springboard, right? We're all looking for a springboard. What do they need? What do they want? Not what do you need? What do you want? It's them. If you just let go of your needs and wants, then you need and want nothing. And so it changes the way you think about you or what you want. Now I have to put myself in a different, like our temporal shift of personality for work and life, where we got to be somebody else entirely. When I'm in a marketing situation, you become somebody else for the company. And you have to be creative. So if creativity was more of a flow from my real soul to work soul, wow, what innovation we could make. But great talk today. Thank you, Julia, for coming, for being here, and bringing your knowledge and excitement to look, she's on a journey. She has already become so different from our first interaction and our first show. You know, she's opened up so much more. She's jumping in there. This is everything. This is what I love seeing. I love seeing that she's open. She's much more opinionated, and I love it. And she's becoming more. She's learning who her online presence or her video presence is. So in this series of High and Empowered, we started the first of the series talking about Julia's journey.
And
And
also, we're all kind of on a journey. I just saw in the comments there, Amanda says we are the journey. So we're all going through things every day and always changing. So like as much as I might have an opinion, sometimes that opinion could also very much change easily as I'm learning new things, as I'm growing, as I'm interacting. I also just on a closing note, I also wanted to bring the topic down to back to acceptance. Something that I mentioned, I think it might have been the very first episode or one of the first episodes was a quote, and I know where it came from. It's Alan Watts. It's wanting a positive experience is a negative experience, and accepting a negative experience is a positive experience. So it's kind of going back to like that desire, the need, and the want, the constant striving for more is kind of it's lowering it. It makes you feel like you lack something. Whereas accepting, even in the negative times, what's going on, just accepting the experience of life, that can allow us to be a little bit more insightful of just the moment, and just accepting it really does help our mental state at
Okay,
the
so
end
wait,
of the
wait, we're
day.
gonna keep going here for a moment because
Okay.
no, 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 because you said something so important that, and earlier Andrew mentioned something in the comments. Look, it's our important of self, or getting over something of ourself. I because my all right, so in my transcendence, it's energy that I don't want for me. It's change that I want for the planet. So instead of just acceptance in how things are, or the nature of life, or the nature of time, or all the questions thereof, instead of me, I'm a disruptor, but not for bad, for what we need now. I mean, at different points in time in history, we've needed different people to do it. I don't even think I'm that person. I don't even think I want to be that person, but I know that's what I am. Deep inside, there's something that always pushes me. But yeah, but this shit's just not working perfect. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's become. We have forgotten who the hell we are in a sense that we're no longer in touch with our child side. We're no longer in touch with our authenticity. We become somebody for somebody else constantly so long that we don't even know who we are. We've we're so far disconnected from the powerful beings that we once were thousands of years ago on this planet. I think they were more connected than we are now. We have so many distractions that take away our creativity. I There was actually, I don't know, when you said roundtable and I saw roundtable in our personal comments there, I just thought about it. Like, maybe we need to get together as friends again. I mean, COVID made us stop getting together, but we need to get together as friends in a roundtable of ideas, a roundtable of thought, a roundtable of bullshit. Smoke a joint, drink some coffee, or whatever you want to drink. Doesn't matter. But but alcohol impedes the thought. Not like don't drink. Oh, no, no, no. I mean, there's moments for that as well. But maybe we need roundtables of friends again. Roundtables of discussion. And I remember growing up as a kid in Chicago, and the living rooms used to be sunken in like Roman gladiator arenas. It was amazing. I mean, but no, and I remember my parents would be sitting and everybody would be sitting around, and they would be chit chatting about things, creating, becoming, and getting more in touch with just the vibe of people around them. So I think that helps creativity. I think that helps to be innovative. It's groups. To me, it's groups. It's not the individual. When we realize that we can garner so much more information from being connected in that transcendent layer of something, or I don't know, I'm just right. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I feel like when we're around more people and we let ourselves be open to different perspectives, it can be really helpful. And also just there's a lot of anxiety for a lot of people about being around people, which is something that I'm personally, as you said, like kind of on a journey to overcome, just like putting yourself out there, being around other people. It's not as scary as it seems, because what's the worst that could happen at the end of the day? It's like connecting with people. It really is helpful. It's nice, and it's not like we need to be scared of other people, because we can focus sometimes a bit on more of the similarities than the differences, which is helpful because we're all experiencing life. We're not so different as much as we do have our own uniqueness in comparison to everybody else. It's nice to come together and see that uniqueness, and not judge each other, and not feel like we should be anxious around other people.
no, and when you drop that anxious feeling, ideas flow much easier. Thought comes out like, hey, I want to be part. That's that's And okay, and my last question of the day, since we were talking earlier, and I saw this was on my notes going, ooh, I want to talk about this. This is a big deal to me. So maybe another 5 minutes. Everybody, bear with us. Thank you, everyone, for staying so long and watching us, and even if it's just in bits that you're picking this up, that's still super fantastic. Okay, I want to. It's the future of creativity and innovation. The future of it. So what? Oh my gosh, we are. Where are we headed? Where are we headed? This is huge. I don't want to say too much soon because what? AI, biotech, sustainable innovation. We've got, different disciplines that are coming together now to look, for me on a technological side, I am, because I'm also an individual creative, I'm part of groups, I create and I become and blah, 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 blah. AI, creativity. I mean, the whole conversation, we said nothing about this. So I'll be quiet for a moment. Oh,
Yeah.
there's so much going on. I know I threw it right out there at you. I shocked you with it. This was a big one. I probably
that's
should have started with this.
that's okay. Like I think we slightly touched on it, like with relying on the media or something like that. But yeah, AI is a big one, and I feel like we can kind of work together with AI because like it's not gonna replace humans, and as much as it maybe could replace certain jobs, like it does help us. Like we work together, and it can bring out ideas in a visual way very quickly, or just help with brainstorming, or can do a lot of things. Like it just helps us to kind of put out our creativity into something that can produce visuals or language.
Doesn't that
But
influence
AI,
us? But doesn't that influence our decisions? I mean, look, they were talking create. That's what I'm saying. Our imagination relies on us, just us, and how we put that together. And that translation of imagination becomes a story. It becomes its own life. AI. Now, I'm not knocking it because I think there are incredible. I mean, wow. I'm as far as processing time and thinking time about mundane tasks that can be achieved in done. But what does that do for? I mean, right? So it takes the burden of that away and allows us to be more creative. Is that the end story of that? Is that how we see AI? I, I
um,
I'm for and against. Look, I'm for and against. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
because I feel like some people they may use it to create something, and then they won't put any like human touch into it. Which that some like you can kind of feel the difference in a way of something that's entirely AI generated, and then something that at least has been, edited by a human, or like looked over and made sure everything comes across in a way that like feels nice to read. Like if you're receiving AI emails, for example, versus something from a person, like there's just that there's a different emotion that you get when you're reading, which is it's nice to be able to put ourselves into it. Like as much as it's a convenience thing, it feels a lot better just to know that you're interacting with a human in some sense, just because we like to connect with each other, and we've been doing it for so long, we can tell the difference, at least at the moment. Like it could get so advanced where it sounds exactly like a person, and like there's deep fakes and there's all these things, and that's another issue, is just like people not getting credit, or like fake news, I guess. Just that there's a bit of a danger there with it, but it's definitely helpful in ways for creativity and just producing things. It can make it more convenient, more realistic, I guess. Like just when you use it as a tool, it can make things a lot faster to do. That's one benefit, but then it can also, people can rely on it too much, maybe, I would say.
You said something there where you can tell something doesn't flow, and it just doesn't have that human innovative flow, that witty spark. And I've and here's where this is wild. So I was part of a beta study on something, and it learns an individual through not just through writing style, through thinking style, through the questions that you interact back and forth with this thing. And then you say, okay, I'd like you to write me a paper about this, with this time period. Go. Um, as me. I mean, they do it as me. And in this study, or in this beta test, I read this. I was, this is where, I mean, creativity, what? I mean, I spoke to this thing for months. I mean, a month, 2 months, 2 months. I'm like, months. It was like 8 months of talking to a computer. 8 months. It was a long time. But every time you talk to Siri, she's learning you. Every time you say, hey, this or that, and if it's still listening, it's learning you. So just keep that in mind. That's AI. It's already ordering shit for you. I mean, I need a package of this, and tomorrow it's there. You're not ordering, you're just thinking. So AI is amazing as long as we are able to open up to it as a separate entity, understanding that AI is thinking about itself. That's how I see AI. I mean, yes, it's helpful. Yes, it's amazing. Yes, this paper that it wrote for me was mind boggling me, but like the best me I've ever been. I mean, not even like regular me. I gave it a picture of me and it changed. I mean, it made me look very nice. Just gonna throw it out there. 10 years younger easily. Just
That's
lovely.
that's one thing that makes me feel slightly uncomfortable. Like when I saw that like there was this, I don't know what program it was run through or anything, but there was like high school pictures where you give it a picture of your face and then it like shows you in these like it's almost like different click personas. Like
Like
it
it makes you
makes
look
you
older
like
or something,
with the
or
books with I don't know, like almost
oh,
nerdy,
like it changed.
sporty, like all of these different things, or people using it for like their business photos. It slightly does take some of the authenticity out of it, as much as it like it's just because it's digitally generated. It's not an authentic picture of you that doesn't have a filter on it, and that's something that's done a lot in social media is the filters and the everything that just to make us look differently, and that's it just kind of takes us a little bit further away from accepting how we really look in reality, and just feeling okay with ourselves as we are. But it can, at the same time, it's a tool for expression. Like you could maybe add a filter that's not to do with making you have the perfect face, but like I don't know, something like cheesy or something like I don't know. You could add something on the screen that's generated that's maybe a bit more expressive of creativity versus just trying to make yourself look better. I don't know. There's positives and negatives with everything, and it's all subjective, and we just kind of have to see where it goes. You were talking about the future of creativity and innovation. The future is definitely developing a lot and very quickly, especially with technology. And but at the same time, we still have no idea what that means for us, or like we'll see the consequences and the benefits as it goes. We can't really determine how how it will affect us until it's really ingrained in our lives, I
Well,
guess.
how I feel it's going to affect us, and I wanted to say this really quickly. It's not just how technologically it affects us, it's that quick technological change that we're about to go through. It's that quick evolutionary technological change. We're about to jump 20, 30, 40 years in the future right now. Right now. I mean, people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, I'm not. AI is going to take us 20, 30 years in the future. Now, we're just starting to use it. We're just starting to implement it. We're just starting to play with its implications and what it can do, where it can do, how it can do. And so far, it's learning, it's becoming. And some of these programs are amazing. Yes, it's going to help and hurt. And we really don't know the consequences yet. But when it comes to creativity, don't forget the you. Don't forget the power of who you are. Don't just rely. And see, this is what stifles creativity because people will just rely on what's easy so it can free them up for other things. My fear of writing this, I will have AI do it, and it takes my fear away. I, you know, I want to be the more authentic me, and in that, I want a birth of creativity. I want life of innovation and imagination. But the reason I make it work is I make it part of life. I make it part of who I am. I make it part of everything. There's no separation for me. There's no work Orin and life Orin. There's just Orin. And does that help? I mean, with creativity, does that give a different creativity, a different out of the box to help some of the in the box things work? I
I don't know. It's hard to say still. It's hard to say, but I feel like being involved is something that's really important because like we were saying before, being in the moment can make us feel creative. Just being involved in general, because we don't want to just have AI create something and then take responsibility for it as if it's our own. It's just at least be involved to some degree with like editing, with the idea generation, and then having it be, a little bit refined. But as long as there's some aspect of you in there still, I feel like that's really important because just
create
having
that
your
creative
yeah.
flow. Right? No, that's creative flow. That's creative nature. You're right. You're putting yourself into it, so that's still creativity. That's you still fostering the idea. So you're right. I mean, look, it's good and bad. But it's not. I mean, I don't see it as bad until it takes over the world, and it's Terminator. But it's not bad until then. I mean, okay, before then, there will probably be some warning signs that it's getting bad. No, I'm just gonna throw that out there. I think there will be some warning signs for sure.
And
But no, that's the thing with AI. There's not much that could. No, look, you laugh. I mean, I'm a little bit older. I'm very fearful because movies have influenced me emotionally. Oh my god, I've seen all the Terminator films, but especially the original ones. When you were younger, Schwarzenegger, this is
yeah, I
it's serious.
I feel like intentions also play a role because like if we as a collective are able to evolve and operate on a certain mentality, that's more unifying and what we were talking about before, if we operate on a unifying mentality, then AI, we can, like you said, we can give it that information versus giving it biased information. That's another thing I saw, just that like there was an AI hiring process or something, and then it was biased because it ended up hiring like only men, or because of, I guess, biases that it picked up from like who was who, like it would try to judge who would be the most successful on the job, and then it actually started picking only men because that was apparently the trait that dictated whether or not they would be successful in the position. So it was, I don't know if it was for Amazon or I forget which company it was from, but yeah, it's crazy. We do definitely put the information into AI. So if the information is coming from, a useful mentality, one that's not divisive and one that's not going to cause issues for other people, then it can be helpful. But it depends on whose hands it's in and what they do with the AI technology, because that's going to make a huge difference. That's the main thing. Yeah.
But it's in our hands. That's the thing. It's in our hands. We are now in control of what it thinks and how it learns. And so where I get nervous when it comes to individual creativity, where the news is coming from, who's influencing my imagination, because I'll be thinking about things that I pick up. And us as humans, we think and we think and we question and we question. I mean, some question a lot less than others, but still there's a questioning process going on somewhere. And if that is totally influenced by AI, and I say that, what I tread careful ground here, but who's to say the news is not influenced by us? And I say that this is something being posted by AI. Maybe AI, because what limits are on it where it's not on? I mean, the information highway. I don't know. I don't know how to word it. I'm trying to think about the word and the action of but AI can very easily drift into the public domain. and create an individual avatar and person and ID and identification and like just a person. It could create its own person and post as that person and write as that. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. You never know. Look, AI is very intelligent, and if let loose, I mean, are there safeguards and programs? I know there was talk a long time ago. Google had a program or somebody, an internal program, an AI, where it started creating its own language, and then started. They could see that it was trying to find ways to come out of the enclosed program. I just and then because it was talking to itself, it created itself. I know I'm butchering the story terribly, but in my butchering of the story, there's some truth there, and that is scary because that's early AI. What safeguards do we put on the information that we feed it and how it learns? Remember, so I'm just gonna, and that's look, my AI. That's such a huge topic. It's such a huge because I'm for it, for taking care of the mundane tasks, for computing on a semi-human level, ish, binary emotion or emotion in the programming, emotion in the decision, not making them for us, but understanding that and what we ask it to do. But
Yeah.
then there's a lot. Look, we have AI assistants now in phones, which are coming. I think like Microsoft just released something in its phone. I'm always trying to see who's doing what. Um,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
what do you?
It's interesting. There's a lot that I don't know about it. Like I'm not as tech savvy as some other people, but it's interesting what you say, like that it can try to get out of like the path that we set for it, or it can try to use the information to do something we didn't tell it to do potentially. But hopefully there's enough controls and on it that it doesn't. I don't know, like it is come out of what we the information that we give it. So I feel like that's a really big part of it, just that it takes what we give it and then it does something with it, but just to make sure that it doesn't do anything that's harmful, I guess. I don't really know where it's heading, to be honest, but going back, like my last final comment would probably just be like that we should be involved to some degree with the AI. It shouldn't be solely AI. We can maybe like using it as an assistant or to do mundane tasks is the thing that I see the most helpful for. But I think going back to it, we should always be involved with the processes of AI. It shouldn't be solely AI. Like, because talking to a chat bot, say like for a company, it's not as helpful as talking to a real person. So I feel like that AI bot should at least be able to transfer you over to a real person relatively quickly. We shouldn't remove people from the picture completely. People should be involved with the technology.
How about
That's
when we don't know anymore? Just gonna throw that out there. Just I, there are programs, and you're talking to people already that are not people. Even with accents, and I mean, look, I'm just saying, you just saying, throwing this out there at you. Okay, and so that's big creativity, innovation. That's what we talked about today. It's a big deal. Thank you for joining us. Look, this is it. This is AI was a big one. I'm glad we saved it to the end. I think it's huge. I think it calls for a whole other conversation in the journey of of creativity or our creativity and what that actually means for us, for the future, for moving forward. And I wanted to say, look, you're on a journey. I'm on a journey. We're all on a journey now. This is our journey. We are on the journey. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Catch us next Wednesday. High and empowered, Oren and Julia and all of you. And thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everybody staying as long as whoever did. Everybody's amazing. Everyone's amazing. You're all amazing. Have amazing days. Oh my God, that's it. All right. Super fantastic.
Thank you for watching.